But
Okay.
I also want to welcome everyone who's joined us here in the room. And to repeat once more, we have a few of you joining us here in the Zoom room, actually, and some of you watching us in the stream or recording. For all of you in the Zoom room with us, it'd be amazing to see you. And if you want to practice with us, as we just said, also if you want to switch on your camera. It's absolutely optional, but it's really nice so that we can get the embodied kind of sense and visual for that as well. And Simon has a reference. So if you want to switch on your camera, and maybe you want to also add your location into your name so that we have an idea where in the world you are, because we're probably dialing in from all sorts of different parts of the world. That'd be super helpful. Otherwise, you can just pop it in the chat, and that'd be a little nice pointer for us where you are in the world affects as well. If you're dialing in early in the morning or it's late at night for you, makes a difference potentially. So,
and it looks like we're ready to start. So yeah, looks like we have some lovely comments in the chat too.
All right. So then to dive right in, welcome everyone. I'm not sure how many of the sessions you have watched already. Maybe some of you have followed one or two. We've had two so far. This is our third session. And I'm excited to introduce Simon Borg-Olivier. And he will not be introducing one of the 26 postures today, but will give us a really beautiful additional, it's a bonus session that we're very happy to offer. Give us an idea of how to get into any pose with ease, a secret formula. So I'm really curious to hear a little more about that. And just a few pointers up front as well. EYP is the Embodied Yoga Principles system. So what we're looking at is not just stretching the body and like taking the body as an object that we kind of work out, but it's really about including the body, mind, the whole, and transferring it off the mat. So there's so many different levels included in that. And this entire week serves to give you an idea of what that system is all about and what other dimensions of yoga are essential to make that transfer off the mat as well. And please, because it's only the first day, especially if you're based in the US right now, it's still the first day for you. For some of us, it's the middle of the night. But invite others, anyone you can think of that might benefit from seeing a different type of yoga approach. Send them a link. It's ongoing until Friday, and we have a bunch of sessions coming up still. And we'll be posting a couple of the links in the chat as well later on. So we are organizing this week completely free for you because we believe that EYP and this approach to yoga can possibly change the world. And maybe you want to help us make that happen as well. And if you're interested in learning more about the particular approach, there are also options to train with us. This session in particular as well will focus on 3 parts of EYP. One is the use for yourself, just as a human, as a layperson. You don't have to have any specific background, but you can dive in and use yoga to gain insights in your own life. The second part is all about coaching and how it can be applied in a coaching context. Personally, I use a lot of the postures in coaching as well, and it's a wonderful tool. And I'm very curious to see your approach as well today, Simon. And then there's obviously yoga teachers. So if you want to spice up your yoga practice, put a little bit of that in, that's a third option for that. And we'll be posting that in a second. All right, so today I'm very happy to welcome Simon. Hello, Simon. Simon has a long background in yoga. He's been in the field for over 37 years. He's not only a yoga teacher, but also a physiotherapist and combines various areas. So he's learned with a lot of great masters from East Asia, from Tibet, India, Japan, and China. And he's brought all of this into a system called the Synergy Program, if you want to check that out. And today he'll give us an into the secret of how to get into any pose. So I'll hand it over to you, Simon.
Thank you very, very much. It's my pleasure, my privilege to be here with you all. So I'll begin by just giving a little bit about the purpose of yoga in my books, because when you understand the purpose, it's easier to understand the method, which you can pretty much get into any posture effectively. And that idea that yoga is about connection is a really important thing to remember. And when we say connection, how do we do that within our own bodies? Is to circulate what I'll call loosely good energy and loving information through the body. Scientifically, when I say good energy, I mean enhanced blood circulation with a low heart rate. And the loving information is a dominance of the parasympathetic nervous system, that part of your nervous system, which is euphemistically called the rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, regeneration response, which is a little bit opposite in some ways to the other part of the autonomic or automatic nervous system, which many people have heard about, the sympathetic nervous system, which is euphemistically known as the flight or fight or freeze or fear response when we're facing external threats. So if you want to have yoga, we really need the feelings of peace and love and safety with no sense of external threat. But if you're in a state of flight or fight, which is a stressful state, then subconsciously your emotions are feeling fear, anger, aggression, lack of safety, lack of trust. And what happens is you turn off all the organs which we need for health, happiness, and longevity, such as your digestive system, your immune system, your reproductive system. Now, the problem is many people's exercise forms actually, although they give limited benefits in strength, flexibility, and fitness, actually overstimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So when you do things like feeling a stretch or feeling tension in the body or feeling increased heart rate or increased breathing, you actually stimulate a flight or fight response. And you might, like I said, get a little bit of benefit in strength or flexibility, but the long-term problems include loss of your ability to remain healthy and young, and internal organ disruption starts to take place. So what I want to share with you is a more natural way of working with the body. And that is a way where blood flow becomes very enhanced, but without the heart racing. And because the heart's not racing and because you're focusing on being really calm, both your immunity is enhanced, your regeneration skills are enhanced, and energy flows through your body very effectively. So the secret is, first of all, to have this as the main aim, to have the aim to connect within yourself in your practices, whatever you call them, yoga, posture, movement, breathing, etc. Have the aim to move good energy and loving information through the body, to enhance blood flow while remaining calm. And then stop doing the things that block good energy and loving information in your body. And those things, which I'll use as a mantra, if you like, are too much tension, too much stretching, too much breathing, too much thinking, and eventually too much eating. So the whole way through the practice I'll offer you is I'll remind you to tense less, stretch less, breathe less, or breathe more naturally, like you are when you're asleep. And not to overthink it, because the more you overthink it, the less meditation it becomes. And the yoga state really is akin with the meditative state, which is akin with the flow state or the zone of the elite athlete. So stop doing the things that block good energy and loving information. The whole way through the practice, make it less tense, make it softer, make it gentler, make it not feel like you're stretching. So you don't go to the full range of your motion, because as soon as you feel stretch, the next step the body anticipates is pain, and then it anticipates injury. And actually, as soon as you feel the limitation of your movement, you lose a sense of freedom because you've touched your borders and you can't go further. So better to move between about 70 and 80% of your maximum range of motion. So if your arms could go from here to here, you're better off in your practice only moving about 2/3 as much. Then you don't feel any restriction or tension. It's a good guide. You'll still get benefits of mobility and strength, but blood will flow much more easily and you'll feel a lot calmer. Okay, so the third thing we need to do after having an aim of doing practice which is going to connect you in a way where your body always stays safe. You only do what makes your body feel good, and everyone's body is different. You stop blocking the flow of good energy and loving information, tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less. Thirdly, You make the energy move. And what makes the energy move in a simple, safe, accessible way is 4 things. 1, move actively. 2, move from your core. 3, breathe naturally or breathe from your core. And 4, move fluidly or gracefully. So let me explain these things briefly, and then we'll go into a little short practice. So when I say move actively, when we're moving from one place to the next, it's possible to move either by moving your arm, say, using your own muscles, or your arm could move just by dropping it with gravity. Your arm could also move by throwing it up with momentum, or your arm could also be moved by pulling it with another arm. So the best way to initially move your body, especially when you're beginning your practice, is actively. So you're moving your arm or your leg or any part of the body with your own muscles, not with external forces. This is what I mean by active movement. So avoid the use of external forces like gravity, one limb pulling another, or momentum. Move slower helps. Then the second thing is to move from the core. Don't lock the core, move from the core. And the core is the region between your navel and your pubic bone, between the top of the hips and your tailbone, around the entrance of L5, S1, where a lot of people get lower back pain. It's inside between these regions. In fact, in yoga terms, it's between Manipura chakra and Swadhisthana chakra. And in the world of Indian yoga, it's known as the Khanda. The core is the Khanda. In China, they call it Dantian. In Japan, they call it the Tanden, the center of the hara. And in other languages around the world, like in the local Australian indigenous culture near where I live, it's called the Nadu Kuru. So this is where all movement should start from. And this is the practice I'll give you this morning. And you can see perhaps if it makes things a little bit more accessible, a little bit less painful if you've got restrictions, and also moves blood more effectively while keeping you calm in a meditative state. Then the third thing is, after move actively, move from the core, breathe naturally. So when you breathe naturally, it means you're breathing from your core. So when we breathe naturally, it's like what we're doing when we're asleep. 4 features of natural breathing, which you should constantly check that you're able to do if possible. Number 1 is inhalation should feel like it's coming from low down in your body, from your lower abdomen, your lower back, your pelvic floor. 2, exhalation should be passive. There's no extra tension when you blow the air out, when you're breathing naturally in your most regenerative cycle, which is sleep, of course. The third thing about breathing naturally is it's actually very small amounts of air coming in and out of your body. In fact, the less you breathe, it's an indication of how fit you are. And the same with your heart rate. The less your heart beats while doing things, it's an indication of how fit we are. We've been conned in our modern world to think it's important to get your heart rate up, to breathe more. But logically, we know that fit people run very fast. Heart hardly beats at all. They're hardly breathing. But unfit, unwell people walk slowly going, and they're breathing a lot with their heart racing. You go, that person's very sick. So in the practice, if you want to let your body know that you're actually in a good state, breathe less, not more. And the best way of breathing less is to just breathe naturally and breathe through your nose as well. Okay, the fourth thing is move fluidly. So I'm going to teach you exercises which are not linear exercises going back and forth, up and down, which is what a lot of conventional yoga will teach. And it's not wrong, but it's not as going to be as effective. So in conventional yoga, you might do a side stretch to left, side stretch to right. You might do a twist to the left, a twist to the right. And the problem is when you're going zigzag one way, other way, or up and down, then it's jarring on the body. It's like a car going back and forth. It jars your body, and it also takes energy of braking and accelerating. So I'm going to give you movements, simple movements at the core of ancient yoga in every country, where the movements are more circular or more figure eights. And so instead of, for example, me doing a difficult yoga pose like this one, and a difficult one like this one, and then a difficult one which is twisting like this, or twisting like this, you can do something very simple. Like this is a simple version, this is a simple version, and I join the two together. And so it's very, very simple movements which are not causing stretch, but if I were to make them more intense, you'd see this is a strong stretch. This is a simple version of it. This is a strong stretch. This is a simple version. But rather just going left side, right side, and then changing posture, twisting, twisting, I oscillate between twisting and side bending, and this creates flow. And I'll show you in a simpler example as well. Flow means don't go back and forth, graceful, gentle movements. So let me give you a brief explanation of what I mean by moving from the core. I'll just take off my jacket, you might see easier. I'd like you to try this if you wish, and you can just stand up if comfortable and face towards me. So you can face towards me like this. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see and I can talk to you a bit. Lean on your left leg, come to the right toe tip. Use a wall if you need to. And then from there, just lift up your right knee normally, like you normally would. When you lift up the right knee, just see how it feels. Now, if you really lift up the right knee and bring it to the chest, you can feel it makes your trunk bend forward. The trunk, your spine and the trunk is the large version of the core. The core in the middle here is actually the enteric nervous system. It's your gut brain. It's surrounded by 80% of your immune system, your digestive system, and reproductive system. It's our action brain. It's what we hear about in modern physiotherapy about engaging the lower abdomen. It's where all movement should start from. So the thing is, when we come into a movement, you have to think, what would that movement do to my core? And so lifting up your knee will actually make your trunk bend forward. So what I'm saying to you is that the secret is to reverse engineer the movement, to go back to what natural people do. And that is, if we know that lifting the knee up to the chest is going to make you bend forward first. So let's try it. So you come to the right toe tip again. Then before lifting up the knee, round the back out like I'm doing now. Around the abdomen to really relax like a baby's belly. It looks ugly, I know, but it's about you, not someone else. And then move your throat forward, chin up, keep the eyes on me. Pubic bone up, belly out, breathe naturally into the tummy. Now lift up your knee. And then put it back down and just see if it feels a little bit easier. Now compare this with doing what many people are doing inadvertently in their life and what many people teach. Come to the right toe tip, and this time tighten your pelvic floor, which many people teach. Pull your navel to the spine, which many people teach, and lift up the chest. Now try and lift up the knee, and it will feel heavy because you've locked your core. So try again, finish on a good note, come to the toe tip, round the back out, make the shape of the core a forward bend, relax your abdomen and pelvic floor. Now lift up your knee, and it's much easier for most people. It means much less stress on your back, your hips, your knees, etc. Try the other leg. I'll give you a slightly different way. Lean on your right leg, come to left toe tip, and once on your left toe tip, lift up the left knee normally, up and down. Now this time, touch your pubic bone, which I'll talk about as being the bottom of your core. Then if you lift your left knee up, you'll feel the pubic bone, the bottom of the core, lifts up. So what moving from the core means is that pubic bone should lift before my knee. So try it. So touch the pubic bone with your finger, come to the toe tip, lift your pubic bone, relax your abdomen, now lift the knee up. And see if that made it a little bit easier. Well, just to check, let's try and do the opposite. Come to the toe tip, push the pubic bone down. Now try and lift up the knee, and it goes against nature. It makes you feel heavy. So before the knee lifts, the core should lift. And so the pubic bone, the bottom of the core, lift first, then lift the knee up, a lot easier generally. Let me give you another example. It's about the neck. So say, for example, you can try this if you like. Lift up your chin as high as it goes. Can you look up to the ceiling? Bring it back down. Does it cause discomfort? So to make it less problematic, you need to move from your core. And notice that when we lift the head up high, it makes you expand the front of the body. So what we should do is expand the front of the body first. So in other words, let's try this. Start with your knees a bit bent, drop the sitting bones, and then from there, open your pelvic floor and the front of the hips. Expand the belly like a baby's belly, like a Buddha belly. Remember, Buddha wasn't fat, Buddha was relaxed. Then pelvic floor open, belly expand, lift the collarbone, move your throat forward, chin up, and just feel how the neck opens more freely. Now bring the head down, neck back. We'll do it again just to compare what happens if you do what many people are doing inadvertently all day long and many people teach. Try this. Tighten your pelvic floor. Draw your navel in toward the spine. Open your chest and pull the shoulders back. Now try and lift the head up and see if it feels a lot more stressed. Round out the back, bring the head down, neck back. Drop your hips. Again, try the way that I suggest is better. Open the pelvic floor, expand the abdomen, lift the collarbone, and move your throat forward, chin up. Breathe naturally into the abdomen. Bend the knees, round out the back, and bring the head down, neck back. So this gives you an example of what I mean by moving from the core. Now I'm going to give you a brief example of joint synergy. And joint synergy is where we use any joint in the body and make it move from the core. And I'm going to give you the shoulder joint as an example. So again, face towards me, and we try this exercise together. It'll take about 4 or 5 minutes. So start with your knees a bit bent so you can drop your sitting bones down. If you prefer, you can sit on a chair, and that's also possible. It's not as effective because it's nice if you can move your hips a bit, but do what feels comfortable. You can certainly sit on a chair. So from this position, I want you to just create length and relaxation. So lengthen your fingers and check the fingers can move a bit. Push your shoulder blades apart. Check the shoulders are relaxed. Maybe they can move a bit. Lengthen your neck. Check the neck is free. Then relax your pelvic floor and check the pelvis can roll. And then lengthen your lower back and check the abdomen can breathe or roll, and check your face is relaxed. Having lengthened and relaxed, now focus on the shoulders, and I'll give you a 5-stage program we'll call joint synergy. So stage 1 is the linear phase. Move your shoulder blades up and down, and just check how far the shoulders can go up or down. Don't go the full way, and do it in a way where you're not feeling tension. That's a linear phase of up, down, elevation, depression. Pause. Now bring the shoulder blades forward and backward. Forward and backward. And don't go the whole way, so don't go too far that it feels stretched. Go maybe 2/3 of the way, forward and backward. And this is very good for your joints just to do this. You'll even feel blood starts to flow a bit. Now, having understood the linear path, up and down, forward and backward, the second stage of this joint synergy is to make it happen fluidly. So now instead of going back and forth, up, down, we make the shoulders move in a circle. So imagine you're looking at a clock face, and we've got the bottom of the clock, the top of the clock, and the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock from my screen. So I go from here. So we go down to 6 o'clock, backward and up, then up to 12 o'clock, forward and down, and then back down to 6 o'clock. So go backward and up, shoulders up fully, forward and down, down fully. Go backward and up fully, forward and down fully, and you're making a circle. So keep doing this circular movement of the shoulders. And this is the second stage when you start to appreciate that you can move in a fluid way around the shoulders. Now stay there. The next stage is to learn to really relax your body. So like we did before, I want you to focus on your fingertips and check the fingers are lengthened, but they can move. Then keep the sense of the shoulder blades moving away from your back, not close, away as far as possible from the middle of your back and also the middle of the chest, and check the shoulders feel relaxed. So focus on relaxing the shoulders while you're moving them. Now lengthen your neck, but check the neck is relaxed. And now relax the pelvic floor. Check the hips are also free to move a little bit. Maybe the knees might bend a little bit. And then lengthen the lower back and check your abdomen can breathe, and check the face is relaxed. Now, once you start relaxing, you'll notice in me that my body's moving. Actually, the whole body starts to roll, because as the shoulders go forward, it sort of makes my spine bend forward. As my shoulders go back, it makes my spine bend back. And so let this happen. And this is the third stage of the joint synergy, to relax enough with the fluid movements to realize that actually, if you relax and move your shoulders, the whole body moves. Now pause. For the fourth stage, we reverse engineer it. We go, when we bring our shoulders forward, try that. Notice it makes your body want to bend forward. When we bring the shoulders back, try this. Notice it wants to make the body bend backward. So shoulders forward lengthens the back, shoulders backward lengthens the front. So to understand how to make this work better, reverse engineer it, and we'll make our body move before the shoulders. So bend the knees slightly, lengthen and relax. Round out your lower back, make the shoulders go forward. Expand the belly and move your shoulders back. Round out the lower back, upper back, make the shoulders go up, then forward. Then expand the belly, chest, move the shoulders backward, and then drop the hips slightly, let the shoulders go forward and down, and continue circling the shoulders. But feel that before the shoulders go forward, the lower back goes back. Before shoulders go back, the belly, chest expands. Before the shoulders go down, lower back, upper back expands. So belly expands, shoulders back. Round out lower back, upper back, shoulders forward. Now you're moving from the core and it feels a little bit different. Check your fingers can move, neck is free, abdomen can breathe, and you're calm. And notice if you're starting to feel a little bit warmer throughout the body, even into your fingers, but without the heart racing. This is a very simple exercise. Now, when I'm understanding this fully, the fifth stage involves using my true core, and I'll pause for a second. The true core is the lower abdomen here. So if I bring my lower abdomen in, that will push my lower back backwards. So with mastery, and this will take some time for some people, before my lower back goes backward, I bring lower abdomen in. Before my belly, my chest, my shoulders go back, belly expands. So in fact, it's lower abdomen in, lower back, back, shoulders forward, belly expand. And that version is a little bit harder, and you can keep doing it. Just make it simple, either shoulders rolling and focus on relax, or if comfortable, let the lower back and belly move before the shoulders. And for the experienced people, yes, you can use your lower abdomen as well, but don't make the lower abdomen hard, it's soft. And once you've got it, you can also start to move the arms. So you let the elbows bend and straighten. You can go palm up and palm down. You can go fingers open and fingers close. You can make the hips come in a circle as well. You can make the feeling of the back expanding, front expanding. You can make your thighs turn in as you come up and thighs turn out. And you can keep doing this like this, either just with your shoulders or your arms, or you could do with one arm only. And when you do one arm only, it becomes side bending and twisting. So go back to two arms. And you can do the left arm, either just with the shoulder or with your arm as well, and it becomes side bending and twisting. Or you can do both arms again, and you can do one arm, then the other arm, like freestyle swimming. So a simple version is just the hips stay still and the shoulders roll, but you feel like the whole thing is happening from the core. So if possible, everything's happening from your core. Easier, of course, to do with just two shoulders and the spine straight. And eventually you can do the whole thing backwards, and you can do backwards swimming, and you can mix them all together and make freedom. And eventually you can start to use the legs as well and move all over the place with the same principle. But in the beginning, I recommend just the shoulders. It's a good start. And if you write to me, I can give you a link to a simple practice like this, and you can work from there. So that's what I'd like to share with you on a general level. And now I'd like to suggest that if you're teaching people like a one-on-one client, maybe you're teaching something like this exercise to a one-on-one person, there's a couple of simple things that are really good to focus on. One is that you need to assess the person that you're looking at first. If you're giving a one-on-one coaching session, it's really important that you know what that person is there for. And everyone has different specific requirements. So for some people, their aim is purely and simply to get stronger. Some people only want mobility. Some people want a pain-free existence. Some people just want to have more energy Some people just want peace of mind. So it's really important that you ask, and maybe a little bit of a psychological assessment in a gentle, loving way, to work out, differentiate. When people say what they want as opposed to what they need, it's often different. It's better to give people what they want rather than what they need. Because if you see someone and they say, look, I'm really stiff and weak, I need to get stronger and more flexible. If you give them exercise, which are going to make them stronger and more flexible, often all they get is just feeling very, very uncomfortable. So what they want is to feel like they can do things, but that's really what they want, to feel like they're capable and connected people. So it's often difficult to differentiate, but it's important to have a thought about what can you give them, which they're actually going to enjoy, not afterwards, but while they're doing it. Because the best health will come if you get people entering a meditative state. The meditative state really has 5 places. One is that the exercise you give someone must be sustainable. If they feel they can only do it for a few seconds because it's too physically hard, physiologically hard, or mentally hard, it will become stress. So make sure an exercise they're doing, like the one we did before, that's something you can do for a long time, because it's not physically difficult. If it's mentally boring, you have to make it a little bit more interesting, maybe adding a bit more. So the thing is, you want to make it sustainable, physically, physiologically, mentally. To make it mentally sustainable, it needs to be engaging. So engaging means it must be interesting enough to grab their attention, the exercises you offer. It must be calming enough to keep them relaxed, but not so exciting, not so much information and things to do that it becomes stressful, and not so calming and relaxing that it becomes boring. So that's what I mean by engagement. Then the other thing is, you want to monitor that the exercises you're giving them do not put them into a state of flight or fight, that they're generally having low heart rate while being warm, that they're generally also feeling relaxed. They look relaxed in their face, and they're feeling happy. A smile is always a good sign. So make sure they're feeling calm. Also make sure they're feeling like it's an effortless exercise, not too difficult. Too much challenge becomes actually a disruption. So make it feel easy. Yes, I can do this, no problem, even though it might take focus. It's good to be focused. The 5th thing about a meditative exercise, which is what you're trying to give people, if you want to call it yoga, or if they're not into yoga and they think of being an athletic type person, talk about being in the zone, talk about being in the flow state, because it really is the meditative state. It's the same place. The 5th most important thing about being in the zone, flow state or meditative state is that blood must be flowing. And hopefully you felt that just by lengthening and relaxing and moving actively from the core with natural breathing and flow, you start to get warm without the heart racing. So this is one of the most important things you can give people, understanding what they want rather than what they need, and also giving them a little bit of what they need. They have to actually demonstrate that actually what they're doing actually helps. So for example, if they came to you with a neck problem, it's really good to give a pre-assessment, a treatment, and a post-assessment. So and that what it does is it builds confidence, because a lot of your ability to be an effective trainer is placebo effect to a certain extent. And that means what we want is for the client to believe in the trainer. And so it will help tremendously if you can actually show that some of your work is useful. So say, for example, someone has restriction in their neck, like I was talking about before. If someone's restricted in their neck and they come to you and say, I really want you to help me, my neck is hurting. What's wrong with your neck, you might say. And they go, when I lift it up like this, it hurts. And you go, okay. So in that case, once you've seen what they can do, you say, let's try this. Bend the knees, drop the hips, expand the belly, then the chest. Now move your throat forward, chin up, and then round out the lower back, upper back, bring the head down, neck back. And you ask, does that feel better for your neck? And they'll usually go, yeah, that feels better. If they say it doesn't feel better, you have to try something else. But if it feels better, then you've given already something which gives them some encouragement. And you've already given them some sense of comparison. But it's important to have something to compare with. And often what many people are doing is, I can talk more about general people in a minute, but often people have a lot of tension that they're holding. So if you can just get them to relax and try these principles of move actively, move from the core, breathe naturally, move fluidly, you'll get a lot further. Say, for example, someone has the inability to reach their arm back behind their body like this. And that's an important movement. In yoga, you're often doing these things, but also in everyday life, just to go to the toilet or something. It's quite difficult for people's shoulders. So you can try this exercise and see if you can mobilize your shoulder a little bit more. So I'd like you to face towards me and test. Take your right hand and bring it to turn in and try and reach to the left side as far as you can go, and measure how far it goes. And this might be something which you might do to a one-on-one client. And then you say, let's move actively from the core with natural breathing and see if you can go a little bit further. And then this is something you can practice. So if we start with the knees a bit bent, lengthen the back of the body. Now twist your belly button and the shoulder to the left side. Drop the hips. Now expand the belly and lift up your chest and your arm. Now keep the hips still. In fact, you can move your pubic bone to the left slightly and rotate your navel, chest, and arm to the right side, but look toward me with the left ear lifted so you can see. Then bend the right elbow and lengthen the right side. So you drop the right hip, lift the right shoulder and perhaps the arm, so the shoulder is past the ear. Then from there, bend forward, pubic bone up, navel down, and bring the arm right down and forward. Then from there, lengthen the left side, drop the left hip, lengthen the left side, lift the left shoulder, and see if your arm goes a bit further, and it usually does. Let's try the other side. So if you do the left hand, test. How far does your left arm move? Turn the left shoulder in, bring it behind the back and measure how far it goes. Now you could pull it to go further, but if you have to pull it to go further, there's a risk of injury. So can you make it go further without pulling? Yes, if you move actively from the core with natural breathing in a fluid way, copy me. So start with the knees a bit bent. Lengthen the back of the body, so I'm just gently rounding it out. Relax the abdomen, then twist the belly button to the right and the shoulder to right. Keep looking towards me, so you just lift your left ear up so you can see me. Don't move the hips. Then expand the navel, expand the belly, lift the chest, lift the collarbone. Then from there, keep your hips still, twist the belly button and the shoulder to the left. Turn as far to the left as you can. Bring your left shoulder right back if you can, and bend the elbow. Then you're looking over the right shoulder with the right ear lifted, belly button and shoulder all the way to the left, pubic bone and head to the right. So you've twisted your trunk. Then from there, lengthen the left side. To do that, drop the left hip, lift the left shoulder so the left side lengthens, and then fully lengthen the left side if you wish. And now bend forward, lift the pubic bone, bring the belly, chest, and shoulder down as far as they go. Then from there, lengthen the right side, drop the right hip and lift the right shoulder and see if your left arm goes a bit further. And mine generally does, and most people trying this will do it. You can make it simpler. You can say it's like holding a teacup. So just try this again. Bend the knee slightly and then test the arm. How far does it go back if you take it straight into position? Maybe it's a little bit better already after doing it once. But if you move this way, lengthen the back, twist to the right side, expand the front of the body. Imagine you're holding a cup. Twist to the left side, lengthen the left side, and then lengthen the back of the body, and then drop the right hip, lengthen the right side, and the arm goes a little bit further. So this is something which, if you're giving something to a one-on-one client, it's important to actually be able to give them something which will make them feel a little bit better. It builds up confidence. Obviously, if the problem is not the shoulder, it may be better to give something else. But sometimes, if you just use this basic principle, the idea that moving from the core will make a difference, reminding people to not block the core, to not lock it, to not overly breathe, to not overly tense. And using these examples I've given you, the leg, the shoulder, the neck, it can give people the idea that maybe in all the practices, I should be less tightening my abdomen. Another thing you can test is to lengthen the back of the body and just drop the hips, Keep the spine fairly straight, but lean back. When you lean back, the abdomen will firm at the front, but the sides should be totally soft. Now come back up. Mine are soft, perhaps yours are tight. So to relax the sides, the trick is just to be relaxed. So if you round the back out, lean back slightly, and just check you're relaxed. Move your fingers, move your shoulders, move your neck. Relax the pelvic floor, move the hips, relax the face, and breathe into your abdomen. Notice you can breathe into your abdomen in this position, but when you touch it, the abdomen feels firm. And the sides will be a little bit softer, like perhaps you can see on me. Now, come back up. Why am I showing you this? Is because many people will think that it's important to lock the core. And the way most people lock the core is in a way which just causes tension internally. It turns off their immune system. It turns on a flight or fight response, basically meaning stress. And also it makes them overbreathe, which will reduce blood flow to the brain. And also, by tensing the abdomen, it locks the core and compresses back. So you get increased back pain and less mobility in the spine, meaning more risk of damaging shoulders or hips or the arms. So differentiate what it is to release the core, to activate the core, and to breathe naturally into a core which is either firm or soft. So I'd like you to try this exercise. And this is something I give most of my private clients very early in the beginning, but you can also give it to a large group. Drop the hips, feel your chest with one hand, the abdomen with the other hand. If you relax your abdomen completely, the same as you are when you're asleep, then breathe into your abdomen, feel it expand and soften. Let the air out passively so there's no more tension. And inhale, exhale passive a couple of times. Notice how relaxing it is. Now, compare that to the tightening that many people do for core stability. Many people do it just to look good. Do this. Put your fingers into the soft abdomen. Keep your chest still. Tighten the pelvic floor, then exhale hard and push the navel toward the spine. So you're pulling your abdomen in with abdominal muscles of exhalation. Abdomen will feel hard. Pelvic floor can be tense. And don't hurt yourself. Keep it tense. And now try and breathe into the abdomen. And then what you'll find is your chest will probably move, or you'll feel like you can't breathe, or you'll feel like you're just tense. This is not a good place to be. So if you're feeling tense when you're breathing, it's going to turn off your immune system. That tension will lock your spine. You'll have increased pain. You'll overbreathe. You won't be able to think as clearly. It's no fun. So what we want in the world of yoga is sthira sukham asanam, is said in Sanskrit, which really means literally to be firm, but to be calm at the same time. And there's many interpretations, but what we want really is to have a firm, strong core. I mean, that is actually a good thing to have sometimes, provided you can relax it and then still be able to be relaxed with a firm core. So for that, that's why I actually ask you to feel the difference. Bend the knees, round the back out, and move the hips forward. Lean back without dropping your collarbone, and feel how that makes the core firm. But actually now, if you breathe into the abdomen, it's quite possible to do. It's a different core firmness. So what we want is to tell people not just relax your abdomen the whole time. Check that you can breathe into your abdomen. And there's two distinctly different ways of tightening your abdomen. One way will make the abdomen firm and allow you to breathe naturally into the abdomen. That's the healthy way. The other way, if you tighten the abdomen, you won't be able to breathe naturally. It will cause stress. It will lock your spine, make the other joints very, very stiff as well, and put a lot of strain on hips and shoulders and neck. And you turn off your immune system, digestive system, reproductive system. So the thing I'll tell people is check you can breathe into your abdomen, whether your abdomen goes hard or soft. And this is a really big clue. And I really emphasize it when I'm talking to one-on-one clients, but it's also important when we're talking to group classes. So let me now talk a little bit about group sessions. If you're a yoga teacher or just a teacher of posture, movement, breathing, whatever you want to call it, then it's important to be able to understand that the group is not one individual, but it is many different people, all having different needs. So you need to address them on 3 levels: physical level, physiological level, and mental level. This is true of the private client as well. But when we're looking at the general population, you have to think, what are the most common things that we have to address? The most common problems, physically, physiologically, and mentally, that have to be addressed in normal people. Now, there'll always be outliers, people who are very extreme one way or the other way, too flexible, too soft, too stiff, too strong, too weak, not able to focus, too much focus, etc. But we have to look at the general 80%, which will fit into the categories that we want. And so one of the most important things physically and physiologically is that we live in a modern world where people are sitting on a chair the whole time. So 5 to 15 hours a day, people sit on chairs, and the results of these things are catastrophic. So for example, the front of the hips become very, very tense. And when the front of the hips become tense from sitting on chairs, people will stand up like this. So you see old people walking like this. But actually, what young people do, they're also walking like this, but because they're flexible in the back, they will arch their back. So actually, they're walking with tight front hips and a squashed lower back. And this will cause long-term hip problems for a start, but it also causes lower back compression, which is there in 9 out of 10 modern adults. There's actually back pain. And if you test someone's lower back by simply asking them to stick up the tailbone and pull the shoulders back and down, if that doesn't feel comfortable for you, and it won't for 9 out of 10 people, you can try it if you wish, then you're going to have, you've got the situation that your front of the hip is very, very, you can try it for a second. So bend the knees a little bit. And then from there, see for your back, are you compressed in your lower back? Lift the sitting bone slightly, carefully, move the shoulders down and back. And does that feel pleasant for you? It should. Just release it, drop the hips down and come out of the pose. If it doesn't feel pleasant, then something's wrong with your back. And 9 out of 10 normal adults have compression in their lower back. So to release that compression, it's coming from the front of the hips. So one of the most simplest things you can do, and I will do for the entire class in a large group, is I start with the knees a little bit bent. You can try this with me. So face towards me. I'll turn sideways so you can see. Bend the knees slightly and then drop the sitting bones down like a weight on a string, which is your spine. So if you see my back, if I'm standing straight, I can pinch the skin of my back. But as soon as I bend my knees and drop the hips, I can no longer pinch the skin. The other thing that helps release the lower back is expanding and relaxing the abdomen. So this very simple, quick fix at the start of a practice, I get the whole group to stand and then just lengthen their body and relax, but especially lengthen the lower back and the front of the hips. So lower back lengthen, then just shift the body weight over the toes and feel the front of the hip lengthen. And this is a really good clue, a really good thing to do for the whole group. The other thing that I always do when I've got a large class is ask everyone to face towards me. So the thing is, you can try this. If you are looking, I'll look straight ahead. If you look to your right side, without turning your head, then what happens is the right eye will see everything, but the left eye sees nothing. So all the information goes to your left brain. If you are looking at something at the left side, everything goes into your left eye and nothing is seen with the right eye. So left eye connects to right brain. So it means all the input will be coming to one part of your brain only. It's good we have integration in both sides of your brain. Left brain is thought to be more calculating, more thinking, and right brain is more intuitive. And for functioning in life, you need a balance of both. So the best way to get people to look at what you're doing and learn from you is to have them facing you. So rather than this classical checkerboard arrangement of mats in a class, I will always get people to come out in a fan-like shape so that the length of people's mats point directly towards where I'm teaching. And that way their eyes are pointing to the same direction as their navel when they're looking at me, and I get them to learn how to move their neck appropriately. So try these movements. These are movements I give to a whole group, usually a big class, and I've had classes of 1,000 people or more, so they can learn to watch what I'm doing and learn visually. When I'm teaching people visually, I only teach what's unambiguous, because some things are ambiguous if you show them visually. So say, for example, you ask people to stand and then take up the arms as high as you can, and then breathe in, and then bring down your arms and breathe out. This is an unnecessary use of words in many ways. Notice I took my shoulders all the way up. If you lift the shoulders all the way up, that frees up the spine. If there's neck tension, bringing the shoulders forward makes a difference. But if you do it like this, which is what you look at any yoga teacher in India, like Iyengar, they've always got their shoulders past their ears, not this. Somehow in the modern world, this has become the vogue, whereas in fact, it should be like that. But of course, it's not going to happen unless you tell people this. So what happens is, if you start with a practice, you can try this, and I'll ask you to copy me and bend the knees slightly, and we go round out the lower back, bring the shoulders forward and up, take up the arms, and then expand the abdomen and take a gentle breath in, then round out the lower back, upper back, and bring down the arms, gently breathe out. The point is, if you do that movement, then a lot of those words are unnecessary, because people can see you take up the arms and people will automatically breathe in once the arms are up, especially if you're relaxed. So I would rather say things that are more useful, like follow my movements and as best as you can, pay attention to what I'm doing. I'll suggest breathe naturally, bend the knees slightly, and then just lengthen the lower back, relax your abdomen, relax your face, relax the neck, and expand the belly, soften your throat, move the throat forward, chin up, bend the knees slightly and round out the lower back and bring down the arms. So there I hardly mentioned moving the arms and I didn't mention breathing, but if you followed what I did, it's easy to see the arms go up, but I'm talking about the bits you don't see so easy. And it's also, the breath will happen so that if your shoulders lift and you come up, air is going to come in. When your shoulders go down, air is going to come out. So you can often direct people's breath by directing their movements. Another one is to do with the hips. The psoas muscle that I was telling you about, that muscle connects to your diaphragm. So if you get people just to go up and down, so go from down to up, where they're lifting their shoulders as they extend their hips, that will make air come in. The psoas connects to the diaphragm. So when you extend your hips, that will make diaphragmatic inhalation. If you lift your shoulders, that will also make a chest inhalation. So the little joint synergy method I was giving before, which I showed for the simplest version, just rolling the shoulders, letting the core move, you can make the hips roll with the shoulders. You can make the arms move as well. So when we're doing like this, if we go slowly down, lift the shoulders, drop the shoulders. Hips go down, hips go back, hips come up, hips go forward, hips go down. So the pelvis is moving in a circle as the shoulders come up in a circle. And so if you just think relax, so relax your fingers, check they're lengthened but able to move. Relax your shoulders, check they're not tense. Relax your neck. You can move it a bit. Relax the pelvic floor. Relax the abdomen. Keep the lower back lengthened. Relax the abdomen and relax your face. If you're going up and down, we'll go a little bit slower while being totally relaxed. It is a natural process that the lifting up causes air to come in. The going down will cause air to go out very imperceptibly. But because we're doing it in a smooth, rhythmical way, air going out very, very small amounts, it gives people a very powerful pranayama that will actually regulate heart rate variability. So someone doing this very simple exercise up and down will actually be pumping blood through their body, and they're doing a regular breathing sequence. As they come up, 3 to 6 seconds is inhale. As they go down 3 to 6 seconds, it's exhale, but this is a diaphragmatic, pelvic floor and chest inhale, and then a very relaxed out breath. This is, of course, just the beginner stage, but by getting people to be understanding that if they follow you, and if you can do something in a way which makes them do things automatically rather than tell them. So other things include, like, why tell people pull up the kneecaps when you could just bend the knees and the same muscles will come active? Why tell people to tighten the pelvic floor when if you shift the weight to the front of the feet, that will engage similar central muscles in the perineum without constricting the anus, etc. If you learn little tricks like this, you can find ways of making people do something. If I want to say to someone, put the weight on the front of the feet, sometimes the easiest thing to do is to raise the heels up. I don't have to tell them then. Little things like this can help. I hope this has been of some assistance to you. I think I need to stop to allow you to maybe ask some questions or something like that now, if you wish.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. Unfortunately, we only had an hour for this.
That's okay. That's okay.
And it was
I knew
so
I had to
rich.
stop now.
And I feel like there's a wealth of knowledge here, and I see a lot of influences of your practices coming maybe from other directions than only yoga. And I would suggest that if people would like to learn more about this system and understand the synergy more, I'm going to post a link into the chat here, and we're also going to post it on Facebook where they can find one of your programs. And I really highly recommend seeking Simon out to learn more. Here he has presented a little insight, a deep dive into what it means to move from ease, and also maybe just to take a minute to summarize, and I hope I get it correctly because we need to wrap up in 4 minutes, unfortunately. The application for yourself is really to ask yourself, how can you bring more ease, and where does the movement start, and reversing it. When then taking it into a client relationship, you could encourage them to not only look for what they think they want, but also adding something that they need. And then working with groups, obviously, it's finding that middle base and really catering to what a group could benefit from, which is like a lot of our collective ill-conditioned ways of moving, and figuring out healthier routines and healthier starting points. And maybe to make that transfer that we often do in the Embodied Yoga Principles system as well, is ask yourself, not only in movement and on your yoga mat, but also where in your life could you bring more ease into your movement, into your moving through the world. So maybe as a wrap up, and I would have loved to have more time also for questions, but I didn't want to interrupt. This was truly a masterclass, and maybe even more advanced because it goes really into the subtleties. But there are a couple of things I want to mention. Maybe you're willing, Simon, to engage with people on Facebook if there are questions. Is that an option?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yeah, they can also write to me. It's Simon@simonborgolivier.com is also possible to write to me, or address me on Facebook. And I'm happy to send people some information, an information package, and some video practices as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Simon. This was a bonus for this entire week, 5 days of Embodied Yoga Principles. And Simon has presented another angle to add on top of this anyway rich and amazing system that we'll keep presenting. And we have the great luck to have 1 hour dedicated to each of the 26 poses. And there's still a bunch coming up. So if you feel like this could be useful for any of your friends, please share, invite them. We're literally just at the start. It's really about transferring yoga off the mat, making that link to daily life. And like we addressed in this session as well, there are 3 areas in which this might apply. Maybe you just want to use it for yourself, and maybe you want to dive deep. Then there's a whole part where you use it for insight into your own patterns. There might also be an angle where you might be a coach and you want to bring that into your practice. And it's literally very quick win poses, very quick win subtle advice that even here in this session we can see how can we move with more ease also through our lives. And then there's also group facilitation or teaching yoga and how to include this element more into your yoga classes possibly. And we have a few links posted in the chat and in the Facebook chat as well that you can seek out if you want to learn more. First and foremost, just keep dialing into these sessions that we're running over the course of this week. And then if you really want to dive deeper, and if you're really keen to maybe even get qualified in one of them, we also offer different approaches to training this system. And maybe, I'm just checking if I gotta set anything else. That's it. So yeah, I hope that this session was useful. Make sure to reach out to Simon for more information. Make sure to also seek out his pages, and then I hope to see you in the next session. So now we'll have a little break, and then we're back at 9 a.m. UK time. And please make sure what time that is for you. For me, that is like 3 p.m. in the afternoon, but it might differ. And we're back with letting go pose. And letting go can be about releasing resentment, releasing frustration, but also so much more. And I'm really happy to be hosting Masha Nobilo in teaching that. And then thank you so much again, Simon.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Write to me. I'm happy to help if I can. Bless you. Thank you. Have a wonderful week, everyone. It's going to be amazing.
And see you soon.